You bought a gardenia, and it was perfect. Glossy, deep green leaves, those incredible creamy white flowers, that perfume that stopped you in the store. And now, a few weeks or a few months later, the leaves are turning yellow, one by one, and you feel like you are killing it. Here is what almost nobody tells you. It is probably not your fault, and I mean that in a very specific way. The gardenia you brought home was raised in a commercial greenhouse, in a perfectly controlled environment. Exact temperature, exact humidity, exact soil, exact light, all dialed in by professionals to force that plant into looking absolutely flawless on the day you saw it. It was, in a very real sense, a fast fashion plant. Grown fast, forced into full bloom, made to look gorgeous for one perfect showroom moment, and sold cheap everywhere, as if it were an easy, beginner shrub. And it is not. The gardenia is one of the fussiest, most demanding plants in the entire trade. So when you take it home, out of that perfect greenhouse and into your normal house or your ordinary yard, and the leaves start turning yellow, you did not fail. The mismatch was built in from the start. Nobody told you the truth. That is the fast fashion plant lie. But here is the good news. Once you understand what is actually happening, yellow gardenia leaves are readable. Because the yellowing is the plant talking to you. And it comes down to just a handful of specific causes. By the end of this video, you are going to be able to look at your own gardenia, read the exact pattern of that yellowing, and know precisely which of these causes is happening to your plant and exactly what to do about it. Not vague advice. The actual diagnosis, with the amounts, the timing, the numbers spelled right out. But before you can fix a single yellow leaf, you have to learn to read one thing. Because not all yellowing is the same, and the pattern of the yellow tells you almost everything. Let me show you how to read it. Here is the one skill that changes everything with a yellowing gardenia. You have to learn to read the pattern of the yellow, because the plant is not just turning yellow. It is turning yellow in a specific way, and that pattern points straight at the cause. So before you touch anything, go look at your plant and ask 4 questions. First, where is the yellowing? Is it the oldest leaves, down low and on the inside, going yellow first? Or is it the new growth, up at the tips? Old leaves yellowing is often normal or a feeding issue. New leaves yellowing is a bigger warning sign. Second, and this is the big one, look at the veins. When a leaf turns yellow, are the veins staying green while the tissue between them goes yellow? That specific pattern, green veins on a yellowing leaf, has a name, and it points at one specific, very gardenia problem we are going to spend real time on. Third, what does the soil feel like? And what do the yellow leaves feel like? Yellow leaves plus soggy, wet soil tells one story. Yellow leaves that are dry, crispy, and curling tells the opposite story. Same color, completely different cause. Fourth, how many and how fast? A few old leaves yellowing slowly over time is one thing. A wave of leaves going yellow all at once is an emergency, and it usually means the roots. So keep those 4 in your mind as we go. Where, the veins, the feel, and the speed. Because I am going to walk you through the causes in order, and each one has its own signature. And do me a favor. Drop a comment and tell me 2 things. Whether your gardenia is a potted plant indoors or planted outside in the ground, and your state. Because those 2 facts change the odds on every single cause, and I will keep coming back to them. So let's start with the most common cause of all, and it is the one people cause by trying to help. Cause number 1, and it is the most common of them all. Overwatering. And here is the cruel part. It is the mistake you make by trying to take care of your plant. Here is the signature, so you can spot it. The yellowing comes in a wave, often on the lower and inner leaves first, and the soil feels constantly wet or even soggy. The leaves may drop while they are still yellow, sometimes still soft. And if you tip the plant out of its pot, the roots look brown, mushy, and smell sour instead of firm and pale. That is root rot, and it is what overwatering leads to. Here is the biology. A gardenia's roots need to breathe. There are tiny pockets of air in healthy soil, and the roots take in oxygen through them. When you keep that soil constantly wet, water fills every one of those air pockets, and the roots suffocate. And in that airless, waterlogged soil, fungal rot moves in and turns healthy roots to mush. Now here is the trick that fools everyone. A plant with rotting roots can no longer take up water or nutrients properly, so the leaves turn yellow and wilt, looking exactly like a thirsty plant. So you water it more, and you push it further under. This is why gardenias are so often killed with kindness, especially the potted ones sitting in a decorative pot or a saucer with no drainage, where the water has nowhere to go. So here is the fix. Stop watering on a schedule and start watering by feel. Push your finger an inch or two into the soil. If it is damp down there, do not water. Only water when that top inch has actually started to dry out. When you do water, water thoroughly. Then let the excess drain completely away, and never, ever let the pot sit in a tray of water. Make sure the pot has drainage holes. And for a gardenia in the ground, it must be in well-draining soil, never a low, boggy spot where water collects. And the rescue, if you have caught root rot early. Ease off the water completely and let the soil dry out. For a potted plant, you can slide it out, trim away any brown, mushy roots with clean scissors, and repot it into fresh, well-draining soil in a pot with holes. Now, the honest part. This one is about restraint. A gardenia would almost always rather be a little too dry than a little too wet. When in doubt, wait. But here is the thing. Getting the water right is only half the battle with a gardenia. Because even a perfectly watered plant can turn yellow for a completely different and very specific reason. And that is the one nobody warns you about. Cause number 2, and this is the big one. This is the signature gardenia problem, the one that is happening to more yellow gardenias than any other single cause, and the one almost nobody diagnoses correctly. It is also where the fast fashion lie really comes home to roost. Here is the signature, and it is unmistakable once you know it. The leaf turns yellow, but the veins stay green. A yellow leaf, laced with a network of green veins. And it usually shows up on the newest growth first, at the tips. If that is what you are looking at, stop, because this is your answer. That pattern has a name. It is called chlorosis, and specifically, in gardenias, it is almost always iron chlorosis, a lack of available iron. Now, here is where everyone goes wrong. You see the yellow leaves, you look it up, you read the word iron, and you go buy an iron supplement and pour it on. And nothing happens. The leaves stay yellow. And you conclude that your plant is just doomed, or that you have a black thumb. Here is the truth. In the vast majority of cases, the problem is not that there is no iron in your soil. The iron is usually there. The problem is that your plant cannot absorb it, and the thing locking it out is the pH of your soil. Let me explain, because this is the single most important thing in this entire video. Gardenias are acid-loving plants. They need acidic soil, a soil pH somewhere around 5 to 6, to survive. And here is the chemistry. When the soil pH climbs too high, when it becomes too alkaline, The iron in that soil gets chemically locked up into a form the plant physically cannot take up through its roots. So the iron is right there, in the ground, and the plant is starving for it anyway. That is why dumping more iron on top so often does nothing. You are adding iron to a soil that will just lock that up too. So here is the fix, and it is a two-part fix. Part 1. Test your soil pH. You can get a cheap pH meter or a test kit at any garden center, and it tells you the one number that explains everything. Part 2. If the pH is too high, you lower it. You make the soil more acidic. You do that with a soil acidifier, elemental sulfur, or a fertilizer formulated specifically for acid-loving plants like azaleas, camellias, and gardenias. Products with chelated iron are useful because chelated iron stays available to the plant even when the pH is not perfect, so that is the form of iron actually worth using. And you keep it up because correcting pH is not a one-time fix, it is ongoing maintenance. And here is the fast fashion connection, laid bare. That gardenia was grown in a greenhouse in perfect, precisely acidified soil. Then you planted it in your yard's ordinary soil, or you are watering it with your tap water, which in most of the country is slightly alkaline, and slowly, invisibly, raises the pH in the pot every single time you water. So the plant that looked perfect on day 1 slides into chlorosis over the following weeks through no fault of yours, because the perfect conditions it was born into simply do not exist in a normal home. Nobody told you it needed acidic soil and acidic water. That is the lie. The regional note. If you are in an area with hard alkaline water or naturally alkaline, limey soil, and you know who you are, this is almost certainly your cause, and you will be managing it for the life of the plant. And the bonus. Get the pH right, and you do not just green up the leaves. You unlock every other nutrient too, because the right pH is what lets the plant feed itself at all. Quick one before the next cause, because these first two are the perfect example of something. Root rot, from cause 1, is a place where that brown bottle of hydrogen peroxide in your shed has a real, limited use. A properly diluted soak can help knock back rot in its early stages, and a dilute rinse keeps your pruners clean between plants. But the pH problem we just covered? Peroxide does absolutely nothing for that. And knowing the difference, knowing when that bottle helps and when it is a myth, is the entire point of the hydrogen peroxide playbook. All 31 real garden uses, the exact dilution for each so you are never guessing, and just as importantly, the 5 things peroxide will not do, so you do not kill a plant trying. Sourced from real horticulture, not the usual internet myths, with a clip and pin chart for your shed wall. 25 pages, $27. Link in the description. Now, stay with me, because the next cause is the exact opposite of the first one. And the cruel part is, it looks almost identical. Cause number 3, underwatering. The exact opposite problem. And the reason I put it right here is that from across the yard, it looks almost identical to overwatering. Yellowing leaves, a sad, wilting plant. Same color. Opposite cause. And if you guess wrong, you make it worse in either direction. So here is the signature that tells them apart. With underwatering, the yellow leaves feel dry, papery, even crispy at the edges, and they often curl before they drop. The oldest leaves usually go first, because the plant sacrifices them to save the new growth. The soil is dry and pulling away from the sides of the pot, and very often, the flower buds drop off before they ever open. That last one is a classic gardenia heartbreak, and drought stress is one of its main causes. Remember the test from cause 1, because it works in both directions. Push your finger into the soil. Soggy means overwatered. Bone dry an inch or 2 down means this. Here is the biology. A gardenia is a thirsty, shallow-rooted evergreen shrub that wants consistently moist soil. Not wet, not dry. Moist, like a well-wrung sponge, all the time. When it swings between bone dry and drenched, the plant reads that as drought stress, sheds older leaves, and aborts its buds to protect itself. So it is not just too little water that hurts it. It is inconsistency itself. So here is the fix. Aim for about an inch of water a week for a gardenia in the ground, more in summer heat, and check potted plants every couple of days in July because pots dry out fast. Water deeply when that top inch dries, rather than a splash every day. And lay down 2 to 3 inches of mulch around an outdoor gardenia, kept a few inches off the stem, to hold that moisture steady between waterings. The honest note: consistency matters more than quantity here. A gardenia on a steady rhythm forgives a lot. And the bonus: steady moisture does not just stop the yellowing. It is also one of the biggest single factors in whether those perfumed flower buds actually open or drop at your feet. Cause number 4: temperature and light stress. And this is the one where that fast fashion greenhouse story becomes very, very concrete. Here is the signature. The plant is watered right, the soil is right, and it still yellows and drops leaves, often after some kind of change. You brought it home, you moved it to a new room. A cold snap came through. Winter arrived and the heating came on. The yellowing follows the disruption. Here is the biology. Remember where this plant was born. A greenhouse holding it at a precise, steady temperature, day and night. Gardenias are genuinely picky about this. They are happiest around the mid-60s to low 70s during the day, and they actually rely on a slight cool down at night. And there is a detail from the university research that surprises people. When the soil itself stays too cold, the roots slow down and simply stop taking up nutrients properly, and the leaves yellow, even though everything else is perfect. Cold feet alone can turn a gardenia yellow. So think about what a normal house or yard throws at it. A spot by a drafty window in winter, a blast of hot, dry air from a heating vent, a sudden cold snap outdoors. An indoor plant kept in a dim corner because deep shade quietly starves it, or shoved against hot afternoon glass, which scorches it. Every one of those is a shock. This plant was never raised to handle. The greenhouse never had a draft in its life. So here is the fix. Stability. Indoors, give it a bright spot with plenty of light, but out of harsh, hot midday sun, and keep it away from drafty windows, exterior doors, and heating or cooling vents. Keep the room in that comfortable mid-60s to 70 range, and let it drop a few degrees at night. Outdoors, plant it where it gets morning sun and afternoon shade, sheltered from cold winds. And in the colder zones, know that a marginal winter will yellow and burn the foliage, so protect it or grow a cold hardy variety. The honest note: if the yellowing started right after a move, a cold snap, or the furnace kicking on, you have very likely already found your answer. Fix the location, not the plant. And the bonus: a gardenia in a stable, bright, draft-free spot does not just hold its green. It sets buds, holds them, and actually opens them. Cause number 5 is really the last 3 suspects together: feeding, pests, and the one that is not a problem at all. First, feeding. If your gardenia is yellowing evenly, whole leaves turning a uniform yellow, starting with the oldest ones, and there is no green vein pattern and nothing wrong with the water, the plant may simply be hungry. Nitrogen deficiency yellows the old leaves first because the plant strips them for parts to feed the new growth. There is also a magnesium version, where the older leaves yellow from the edges inward while the center near the stem stays green, almost like an arrowhead of green. For that one, and only that one, the old Epsom salt trick is genuinely real, a tablespoon dissolved in a gallon of water. But hear me clearly, Epsom salt is a magnesium fix, not a cure-all, and pouring it on a plant with a pH problem or root rot does nothing. The clean solution for feeding is simpler. Feed your gardenia in spring and summer with a fertilizer made for acid-loving plants at the label rate, and it covers the bases while helping that pH we talked about. Second, pests. Flip the yellowing leaves over. If you find tiny insects, sticky residue, or a black, sooty coating on the leaves, you have found sapsuckers, aphids, whiteflies, or scale, literally draining the plant. Treat with insecticidal soap or horticultural oil, covering the undersides, repeated per the label. And third, the one that fools everyone in spring. If your gardenia is otherwise healthy, and some of the oldest, innermost leaves turn yellow and drop in early spring, right before the new growth pushes out, that is not a problem. That is normal. Gardenias are evergreen, but no leaf lives forever, and they shed their oldest leaves on schedule. A few yellow old leaves in spring on a thriving plant means nothing at all. Do not treat it. Do not water it more. Just let it happen. The honest note for this whole block: read the pattern before you reach for a product. Uniform old leaf yellow, feed it. Green arrowhead, magnesium. Sticky and sooty, pests. Spring shed on a healthy plant, walk away. So now you have all 5. Let me pull them together into the 2-minute diagnosis. Before we do one thing for me. Think of one person you know who bought a beautiful gardenia, watched it turn yellow, and quietly threw it away, believing they had killed it. Send them this video, just the link, because they did not fail. Nobody told them the truth about what they were buying. Now, here is your 2-minute diagnosis. Walk to your gardenia and ask 5 questions, in order. Question 1. Is the soil soggy, and did the yellowing come on in a wave? That is, overwatering and root rot. Stop watering, fix the drainage, trim the rotten roots if it is potted. Question 2. Are the leaves yellow with green veins, starting on the new growth? That is iron chlorosis. Test your pH, acidify the soil, and use chelated iron. Do not just pour iron on and hope. Question 3. Are the leaves dry, crispy, curling, the buds dropping? That is thirst and inconsistency. Steady, deep watering and mulch. Question 4. Did the yellowing follow a move, a draft, a cold snap, or the furnace coming on? That is environment. Fix the location, not the plant. Question 5. None of the above? Then read the pattern. Uniform yellow on old leaves. Feed it. A green arrowhead on yellowing old leaves. Magnesium. Sticky, sooty leaves. Pests. And a few old inner leaves dropping in spring on a healthy plant. That is normal. Walk away. Run those 5, and you will land on your answer. Because the yellow was never random. The plant was talking the whole time. And here is the thread that ties it all together. That gardenia was sold to you as a fast fashion plant, grown in perfect conditions, forced into bloom, priced to be replaced, not kept. The industry never expected it to last, and it never told you what it actually needs. Well, now you know what the greenhouse knew. Acid soil, steady moisture, stable warmth, bright, gentle light. And a gardenia given those things is not disposable at all. It can live and bloom and perfume a porch for decades. And listen, if you are in your 50s, 60s, or beyond, you know what a gardenia really is. It is your grandmother's plant. It is the corsage flower. It is that scent on a warm evening that stops you mid-sentence. You have earned a gardenia that lives for 20 years, not one that dies in 8 weeks and takes your confidence with it. So if this saved your gardenia, or saved you from giving up on them, subscribe and stick around. We do this the honest way here in the Forgotten Knowledge Library. Real horticulture, exact amounts, and we tell you straight when something is just a myth. Next time, another plant, another lie nobody told you. What actually works, and what people swear by that simply does not. Now go read your gardenia's leaves. The pattern is the answer. I will see you in the next one.